inside of my body again at the age of 14. So I tried to communicate with people, tried to talk or communicate with some officers and ask about, like, where am I? I know that I'm in Stockholm, but I don't even know where to go. So basically, I found some hotel and stayed there and just like think about like what happened with my uncle. So I found out that he had a car crash almost a couple hours before that he went to come and pick me up. So they take 1 month for me and for him to recover, to come out after coma and come and find me. So in 1 month, I was left over in a country with the minus 30 degrees. I mean it, minus 30 degrees, and I'm not joking. I could feel that I can't breathe sometimes, but I could have a lot of, ice in my nose and my ears and everything. Whatever I felt, you know what? Fia, you do have a power. Trust yourself, believe in yourself, build the new chapter. Again, this is your second chapter in another country. So I prayed, I connect to my divine, I sense, and all of a sudden, 3 families, without even knowing who they are, what they are up to, they reach out to me out of nowhere. How? I went out to the Starbucks, but basically there is no Starbucks. It was something, looked like or similar to Starbucks, and saw some lady that's sitting there and crying. I went and said, well, I can't speak. What should I say? Okay, the only things that I can do is a love language. Maybe I should hug her. Maybe I should just like say, I'm here. And it was a Swedish girl, of course, blondie, and I'm kind of like a black hair. Well, that maybe she's going to get scared a little bit. But I says, like, don't worry about it. Just go and get it done. So I did that. And she hugged me so hard. Was like, what's going on? What's happened to you? She's starting to talk. I couldn't understand. Barely nothing. Swedish language? Come on, guys. You guys don't want to even learn. It's very difficult and very hard. I said, okay, it's just continue and continue. I felt and see that she lost the baby, or actually the baby was missed in the past of almost 4 years. And she basically went to the family and asked questions about, like, where can I go? How can I find? Because it was in another state, and they come back to the Stockholm, and then she all of a sudden just break down. I said, I can help you. I feel where the baby is, or somehow I can see the baby. They didn't understand what I'm saying. I was like, oh my gosh, what should I say? It's like translating. I do remember that day. So basically after almost 2 hours, some Persian family, who they could actually speak my language, finally Persian, so they could understand exactly what I'm talking, because they've been closest friend to that Swedish family. My career started at the age of 14 in Stockholm. Just 2 months after, I landed in this minus 30 degrees of country. So my point is, whatever I had in my life, I always been thankful and grateful. I never said why I don't. I never said why me. I never said how. I always say, come on, get up, find a way, go, that's it. So never give up. And I always learn myself, don't be logic, be biologic. Because that's the only way you can feel and sense yourself and others. Always send love and receive love. Never give up about your goals. And of course, the first month, because I did not have enough money, I left with almost 120 crackers and waters. And it's possible. As a human, we can live with 120 crackers and water every day, which I did because I did not have money, no place to go, countries with no language. Then after that, I feel like I have to build my company. I built my company almost 3 years later. It was about like $4.5 million company with almost 55 Swedish employees. And what I did that, not just helping police officers and private investigators and all this stuff. I did this because I feel that Swedish people rejected me one after each other. Why? Because I'm come from another country. I said, you know what? I make a decision now. I am going to build my own company, and you are going to pick me to hire you. This is me now, Fia Johansson. So now I'm not going to be a blondie lady, but I'm going to be the black hair lady with a lot of power of veal. So my willpower make my company became super successful back in Stockholm. Almost 8 years ago, I felt that I have to move to America. I find my love of my life. And when I come here, I felt, okay, you left your country, the way that you love, basically after so many years, and now you want to just start from scratch. So I knew about 5 languages already, but my English was not good at all. So I couldn't barely speak English. I was like, okay, start it again, Miss Via. Now this time, maybe English is much easier than and faster than Swedish. So that was all I had. And now I have over $5.5 million, almost $6 million company, and actually have over 250 employees worldwide that are working for me in America. So everything is possible, even you don't know about the language. So remember that, deaf and blind always will help you and send love and passion to yourself and anything and everything you want. Everything is possible.
Welcome back. Our next guest is a celebrity medium, a clinical hypnotherapist, a holistic healer, and holds a master's in psychology. Fia Johansson is known as the Persian medium, and she's even worked with intelligence agencies and law enforcement to find answers in cases. She also wants all of us to discover our best selves. Fia, good morning.
Good morning, Heather.
Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me.
I just want to start with, when did you realize that you had this ability?
I was 7.
7.
It was a very hot summer. A friend of mine came to my house and we played, we had fun. 3 hours later, they wanted to go home. I said, don't go. They said, why? I said, because I see that your guy is going to have a car crash.
Ooh.
Of course, they didn't listen to me. They had to go. 40 minutes later, our phone rang and confirmed that they had a car crash.
Oh my goodness, were they okay?
They've been completely okay, but what I saw in my vision at that age, it was scary. It was colors, visions of car crash, and my friend's face, who basically had some blood in. I was very scared. It took actually 4 years for me to discover why I see things before they happen. Why did people connect it to me? Why I am connected to unknown? And what's wrong with me? So, because you don't have anybody to talk to.
No, nobody would be able to relate to what you're seeing or experiencing. Later in life, you're able to use these tools and this ability to eventually connect with law enforcement. Is it true that you have helped to solve 22 cases?
Yes.
What sort of cases are you assisting with?
Cold cases, many of them was cold cases, old cases, locate missing people, and also connected people to each other who basically been vanished for so many years and they didn't know where they are. And I started with law enforcement at the age of 17 back in Europe, and I moved here to US 10 years ago, and through that agency I connect with intelligence services here as well.
Can you give me an idea of a case that you've solved?
One of the cases that I had, it was almost 2 years ago. Coast Guard communicated with me and said, we have a missing pilot and missing plane. I said, where are you guys? He said, well, we are around the oceans. I said, you're guys in the wrong place. Number one, they are not alive. And he was like, how did you know that was they? I said, because it's 2 people that passed. And he immediately felt that you're right about it, because that was the student and instructor. So basically, after 25 minutes, after the helicopter came and took me, we found the stress signals from that plane. And they asked me, how did you know that? I said, he told me where he is.
Wow.
So
what do you mean by that? Did you hear voices, or you...
voices. It's actually, it's different, case by case. Some cases I feel and sense them directly communicating with me. Some cases they kind of like connecting me through other people. And some cases it's just the colors and numbers and names. and I bring them to attention for DA, private investigators, and crime lawyers. They put them together, and this was like, wow. You got it, bingo. We got a piece of
very
evidence.
helpful for people who may
Yes.
not have any other answers in these situations. When you walk by strangers on the street, do you ever get a sense for anything?
Of course, because as you know, we are all based on energies. And I pick up energies very fast. I feel and sense them very strongly. And when you are an empath, you can sense people almost, 100 miles away. But I try to not, because it's crazy. My life, maybe outside is look normal. I maybe look normal, but inside it's not normal.
Is it difficult to have to constantly be hearing and sensing things?
It is difficult. I can't be in any funerals because of the dead people. I communicate with them directly. I can't actually be around and surround people who basically doing something wrong. Example like high-profile people, celebrities, and other stuff, because then I can see and locate them, what they're up to, what is going on. So basically, it's hard for me. I close myself to not see things.
Do you call people out? I know you have celebrity clients. You
Oh,
say,
of course.
I know what you're up to when you're not here.
You know what I did? Actually, Impossible Hollywood, I changed it to I'm Possible Hollywood. I worked through my hypnose to helping a lot of models, actor, actress to achieve their dreams and desires. And of course, I did.
Wow. I know you have a book out. It's called Recoding Your Brain for a Better Life, and you're working on a second book.
Yes, and the third book. The second book, actually, I am working on an upcoming book with one very huge and very strong, intelligent agent who wants to talk to me, or basically, stand by on any cases that we solved together, and we are going to say when, where, how.
Wow. Okay. So we'll be looking forward to that one. Fantastic.
That would be fantastic.
Where can folks get in contact with you? Maybe they would like to work with you on something.
Well, to see me face to face, they need to have some one-year waiting list. So it's
one-year waiting list. My goodness.
Yeah, but if they do have some cases, missing people or crime cases that they would love to involve me, they can connect to my agent, and through that, I will connect with them. But easy to talk to me, because people ask me a million questions about. Guess what? What is my lottery number?
Lottery numbers.
Example.
Yes.
When I'm going to get married. Is he cheating or not cheating? Or stock markets or investment. So basically, avidadvice.com, A-V-I-D advice.com is the best place to communicate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have over 27,000 people or clients worldwide, and I'm very blessed and happy and thankful for that.
All right, Fia Johansson, the Persian Medium, thank you so much for your time this morning. We do appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
All right, Stella, I'm intrigued. I'll send it back to you.
That's pretty incredible. Thank you so much, ladies.
Listening to A1R Psychic Radio. Spirit's #1 psychic radio network, and watching Moonstruck TV, enlightening television. Welcome.
Time for Australia's Cowgirl Medium with Tanya Reid. Live from psychiccowgirl.com.au.
Connect direct. In North America, dial 888-454-2751. In London, 20-3519-2158. In Sydney, dial 02-8488-3147. Or online, contact us through our Facebook page, facebook.com/psychic radio.
Or one of our websites,
askoneradio.com or moonstruck.tv.
This is Australia's Cowgirl Medium
On A1R, the Ask One Radio Network.
G'day, Tonya Reeves, Australia's Cowgirl Medium. I was about to have a mental blank then. Isn't it funny? Here in lockdown, it's like your brain just tends to go to different parts of the I don't even know. Like, it's words are getting lost, and trying to think straight sometimes is really crazy. Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to get my head screwed on right, ready for a reading today and to share some information. And I also wanted to share that I don't know if everyone's felt there's been a bit of a shift energetically, so we're feeling a little bit more upbeat for those that have gone through. It's like there's been a bit of a dark night of the soul, or a little bit of recalibration, and we're starting to now really move away from that and move forward. And for many of us that have had to make decisions on making some changes, and there's been a lot of people around I know that I've connected with that have either ended relationships, they've decided that the move is just what they need to do, or making plans in the future for their career that's totally different to what they would have foreseen earlier on this year. So if you're one of those that's come through really having a fair upheaval happen this year, then please know there is a shift around to be able to just help us edge our way out of this and have the strength to do that, which is really amazing how the universe will step up and help you when it's needed. So sometimes we need to meet that energy halfway, and just put our hand up and say, yeah, look, I need a bit of guidance here. Don't forget that you have all your spiritual family around you that are happy to help step in and give you the signs. I have felt a little bit lately that we need to become more connected to ourselves and really take notice of the signs that we're being given. So, I know I find that myself. I'll get a sign and I don't read it properly, and then I'll get two more exactly the same, and I'm like, oh dear. If that, how many more do you need before we go, oh yeah, that's right. So I think just in our human existence, that's just how we roll. So don't beat yourself up over it. Just go, you know what, plot twist, turn around, change direction. And and I also feel like there's been a lot of people working around things on forgiveness at the moment. So this is about forgiving yourself, forgiving others. Give yourself that space to be free. And it's something that we often struggle with. I know I do at times. It's like we get a little bit self-righteous about it, or we defend our actions, and deep down we know that it's not for our highest good, but we kind of get on the defensive and don't want to make the change. So I just want to remind you that if that's you, like the rest of us, we're all, we all glean that same insight, and just take note of it. If there's something niggling away that you're feeling the sign to make some changes, now's the time to do it. All right? We can really make these changes and shifts and, set that intention to go, right, I want to make a change in an area of my life. I'm just going to write it down what it is and let the universe help me deliver it. So, yeah, that's my insights for today from Spirit. So I'm going to go on to my read today. I have the lovely Nancy from New Jersey in the US. Hey, Nancy, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good. I was expecting a thicker accent than that, but isn't it funny how we all have different accents? But I just went, oh, New Jersey. I'm like, so were you born and bred in New Jersey, can I ask?
Yes, I was.
Oh, wow, cool. Thank you for ringing in and connecting today. I want to initially go off the bat with you and say, I've got some exciting things happening. I feel like there's something around you've had a shift in what you're doing career-wise, or you've made a few decisions around making changes, and it's almost like Spirit is saying it's a bit exciting. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, my main thing was are you a medium?
Yes, I am. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's really why I wanted to contact. We lost our son last year. He was barely 20 and he had cancer. And I just want to know, how is he? You know, where is he and how is he?
Okay. Absolute pleasure to connect for you. All right. It's always hard when I connect with mums. I'm a mum as well, and you know, to lose a child is something that you can't imagine. And you know, I can absolutely empathise with you. And
thank you.
You know, that's a definite hard one to swallow. Okay, let's connect in with your son. So, okay. Oh wow. What a gorgeous soul. I have to say, first of all, coming through, he's quite wise, and it's almost like I feel like that was him through life as well, even though he only had those 20 years with you. I feel like I'm connecting, or the way that he's coming across is it was like he'd been here before, even as a youngster. I feel like there was things about him that you went, oh, wow, for a child of his age, he was able to understand things, and it's like he's showing me in the spirit world that's what he's doing over there as well. And one thing that I like, and you know, when anyone, I call it, you know, he's gone back home. He's showing me he's up there, definitely not on his own. There's family members there. Is it your father that he's showing me, like there's a father figure around him? Is that your dad?
Yes, my father has passed. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like he's saying Dad's here.
Dad, he never knew him though. They never knew each other.
Okay, but it's like they're connected in spirit. I do want to say he's showing me that there were some similarities with your dad. Like it's almost like I feel like they've, you know, with connecting in the spirit world, they're like, oh, I like that, and oh, you know, there was a few traits that I feel that your son had that your dad had as well. So obviously coming through you, he's not in. You know, this is a common one when they pass through illness. He's feeling free now. He can move around. It's like, oh, I'm back to my energetic self. And I feel like for him, what he's showing me is that he liked to move around a lot, like whether he travelled or I feel like I went on adventures, and that's part of the person that he is. And it's like he's showing me over there that's what he's doing. I often get shown with connecting to the spirit world, how the energy is so different over there. So there's so much of that. It's like an unconditional love that we really struggle to necessarily comprehend here, but he's really showing me that over there. And there's aspects, because he was so, I want to say like an advanced soul, he's up there helping others. So there's a purpose, his purpose specifically is elevating people to go up the levels. And I often get shown that in the spirit world there is different levels, but it's like he's showing me he surpassed a few. So that when they show me that, it's like he had an inner knowing. He had, you know, he'd had quite a few lifetimes before this one with you, and he's, you know, he's highly regarded is what he's showing me. So does that make sense to you? Like that he was quite wise for his age? And
I believe so, yeah. I mean, I do think he was an old soul. And he had said something, it was kind of strange when he was around 5 or 6 years old, and he was talking to me about, you know, he had gone to this school and he had a friend, and he said, you know, when I lived in my mind. And I said, well, what do you mean by lived in your mind? He said, you know, before I was born. And he was telling me that, and it was like really strange, you know, and I had forgotten about it, and then I remembered it like the end of last year, you know, a few months after he had passed. And I just thought that was very odd, you know.
Mm. And that's just confirmation, because it's like that's what he's showing me. It's like I'm back at home up here, and it's like he's helping the evolved soul. So it's like when they, you know, and that's what I often get shown, when they certainly don't all come through like that whatsoever. But he's showing me that he, you know, he's slotted in really well up there, and it's like, you know, I'm back home, I'm helping others because of the fact that he sort of, during passing, and I, do want to go back to his passing as well, is what he's showing me. was there an aspect of him needing? I feel like whether there was a few around him, and it wasn't till some had left that he was able to pass. So whether it was there only you around when he passed, or I feel like I want to go to his acknowledging that he had to wait for others to go for him to physically leave his body.
No, he was on hospice at home, so we were with him.
So, right. So was it just you and your other?
My husband.
Like,
my husband and I. He was an only child.
Okay. Did were there others visiting or something? Because I just feel like what he showed me in that was like he waited, or there was some kind of he let me see. It's just I can't explain that any other way. But it's like I felt there was a certain timing around him leaving his physical body, and he's just acknowledging that.
Well, I think so too. Actually, I think I get what you're trying to say. The night before, he had about 6 or 7 of his good friends. Well, he didn't have them, but they wanted to come see him. And a couple of them said, we can come tomorrow, we can come the end of the week. I said, it's probably better sooner than later. I didn't know that. It was his last night. And they were there for about 5 hours, and we were just talking, and we were reminiscing. And I'm pretty sure he waited for his friends, because the next morning, less than 10 hours later, he was gone. I'm pretty sure he was waiting for his friends to be there. He didn't say a word the whole time. He was just lying there, and I'm pretty sure he heard everything. We did have a hospice nurse in that night because he was not doing well. That was a rough night. But, I think that ties in with what you're saying.
Yeah, 'cause it's like that was an important message that he wanted to get through. He does communicate with you, and I'd love to share. I've got an amazing book of a lady that channeled a lot of information or connected with her son and got a lot of information about the afterlife. It is just such an amazing book. I'll try and connect with you after we get off the show and share that with you, because I think it would be really really beneficial, and it really explains about the afterworld and how they, how it is for them, but he does hang around with you guys. It's like he's showing me he hasn't physically left totally, so it's like he's giving you signs, and I feel like I want to go to being outside and bringing that sense of fun back, and he does want to remind you of that, of having that bit of a laugh. And I do feel like I feel like he had that sort of sense of humour, almost like a little bit of what I would call as a bit of a corny sense of humour, but it's like making fun of things, not making fun of things, but having a laugh at the little silly things that happen. And I feel like he's bringing that to me to share with you and say that's a sign that he's around. So whether you go to trip over, or I just feel like there's some funny things is what he's saying. He's trying to bring that extra laughter back, which often they do from the spirit world, but he definitely hangs around with yourself and his dad as well. So it's like both of you.
Yeah, we just wish we could see him more or feel him more. It's really strange. My husband has we have a finished basement, and he set up a camera there, like an infrared camera, whatever they're called. And, we look at it once in a while in the playroom where my son used to play, and we saw an orb there one night. Now, if he had seen it by himself, I wouldn't have believed him, but we both saw it. There was an orb in the basement, and there was no other reason for it to be there, Yep.
Absolutely. He's showing me he's around, so it's only that the two of you, the fine-tuning of those messages. Message me on my Facebook page, Australia's Psychic Cowgirl, and I will expand on a few messages from him, because I would like to just give you a little bit more. I haven't got enough time today to do that, but yeah.
A1R Psychic Radio, Earth's #1 psychic radio network, and watching Moonstruck TV, enlightening television. Welcome.
Time for Jordy Jane's Psychic Medium with Jordy Jane. Live from jordyjanes.com.au.
Connect direct. In North America, dial 888-454-2751. In London, 20-3519-2158. In Sydney, dial 02-8488-3147. Or online, contact us through our Facebook page, facebook.com/psychic radio.
Or one of our websites,
askoneradio.com or moonstruck.tv.
This is Jordy Jane's Psychic Medium
On A1R, the Ask One Radio Network.
Good evening, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. My name is Jordy Janes, and I've got you for the next 15 minutes. I am very excited this week. It's actually the start of spring over here. So I know you guys have just gone into the beautiful fall over in the Northern Hemisphere, but we've just gone into spring, and very excited. Just had the full moon as well, which is even super exciting because a lot of good shifts happening. Couldn't sleep last night, which was quite interesting. Took me about 3 hours before I fell asleep. So with all the energy and my mind going 100 miles an hour. So what I do, that's a really interesting thing, because I was about to talk about going and doing things for ourselves to connect. And what I wanted to do is also disconnect last night. So it was quite interesting how I want to talk about connection and then talking about disconnection as well. So very interesting day today. I've got a few things. I've got a few classes lined up today and connecting with beautiful souls. But connecting is also a very important thing for us energetically and vibrationally, in a sense of knowing where we sit in our own connection with ourselves, with our higher self, and also with our loved ones, obviously, in the spirit world as well. So today was just, I want to talk about actually connecting with oracle cards. And I don't know if I've spoken to this before, but having a set of oracle cards and then choosing an oracle card for the day and journaling about it. I actually tell my students to do this as much as they can, because one, it allows you to be a little bit more aware of what's going to happen for the day, but also to see where it fits within the day and trust with what you receive. Trusting is a huge thing for our awareness when we connect with our own energy and our own spiritual workings. It's always really important to trust. And the trusting connection can be quite pivotal to know that we are always looked after, we are always guided, and sometimes we don't particularly listen to the guidance until it hits us about 3 times in the forehead. But it gets there. Once we understand it, then we go, that makes total sense. And my favorite saying is, you can't make this up. You can't make this stuff up. Everything that comes through, it's really important to let you know that you can trust with what you receive. So I feel like I'm a little bit jerky, but that's okay. And so realistically, making sure that you spend at least 5 minutes a day for yourself to connect and really be aware of your surroundings and just trust with what you receive. Your gut instinct never fails you. Trust me, it never fails unless you get put on your butt, which has been done to me about 18 months ago. So with no further ado, I have got a beautiful lady on the line called Christine. Hello, Christine. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. You're from Canada. Oh, my God. I can't wait to get over there, hopefully next year when everything opens up again. My passport's ready to go to Canada, so I'm very excited to go over there. Now, Christine, how would you like me to work for you this evening? Would you like me to work psychically with what's going on around you, or mediumshiply, which is connecting with loved ones?
Mediumship-based, please.
Thought so. Thought so. That's all right, because I started already opening up before you even said it. So this is awesome. So let me just see. Oh, okay. And I love it when they know that there's only a short period of time, because they sort of go what I call stacks on. So they just love coming in one after the other. So I'm just trying to see if I can separate your beautiful loved ones for you, Christine. But I do have a gentleman stepping forward. This beautiful gentleman has got this really gorgeous, really soft, funny personality. And yeah, I also know he's a little bit quiet. I wouldn't say shy, but he would definitely pick his own battles. He's telling me he would pick his battles well, and he wouldn't sort of put his foot in it unless he needed to. He was also quite a beautiful disciplinarian. What I mean by that is that as I connect with him, all he had to do was a look, or raise his hand, or raise his finger, and you would know that you would not be able to do anything. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. And would this gentleman be connected to Dad, or a grandfather on Dad's side, or Dad? Would that make sense?
Dad, yes.
Thank you. I thought it was Dad, but I just wanted to make sure. But is he a grandfather as well? Because he's very excited to be a grandfather too.
Yes.
Thank you. Because I feel he's telling me, thank you. I'm not feeling, I'm being told, because he does like to speak his mind. Does that make sense to you when he needs to?
Most definitely.
Thank you. Because it was like he was sort of telling me to not feel but listen, because he has this gorgeous voice, and I feel, I don't know, I wouldn't say he was on radio, but I do feel like he had a gorgeous voice you could listen to for hours, and he was also very philosophical. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. So going back to telling me off for feeling, he's also telling me that back before, he was telling me that he missed a couple of grandchildren. So was there a couple of grandchildren? He's telling me a couple that came after he passed. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, most definitely.
Thank you. And he's a little bit excited, but he's also telling me that he's telling me that he went sooner than what he thought as well. Would that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Thank you. And I don't feel like he was 58, but he wants to acknowledge the number 58. So I don't know if this makes sense, but does that make sense to you, darling?
No, he was a bit older than that.
Okay, then 58 was definitely a dominant age for him. So can I leave that with you, because he wants to acknowledge this number. Now, also, he's acknowledging Mum. So is Mum's...
No, she passed as well.
Okay, he's just acknowledging Mum's here. So I always get a little bit misconstrued sometimes with her vocabulary. And he keeps telling me a job well done. So he's definitely one of those beautiful support people that loves going, a job well done. He's like patting me on the back going, you're doing well, you're doing well. But for me, I feel like also I want to say that's for you as well. Because as he's connecting with that, he's acknowledging that he wants to pat you on the back for the job well done. And he wants you to know that you really need to trust your intuition at the moment, because things are moving a little bit differently. Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
Thank you. And he's also acknowledging, don't worry, I'm not around you all the time. So he does believe in personal private space. Does that make sense to you? Because he's having a bit of a joke about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that would be him.
Thank you. He's absolutely adorable, and he's getting, as he's sort of blending with me a little bit more, he's also just acknowledging that like he was in a bit of pain before he passed, and there was a few things going on medically and medicinally, and he just wants to acknowledge that he wants to thank you. And do you have an older brother?
No, I'm the eldest. I have a younger brother.
Okay, thank you. Right. Okay, so if I say would I say that sometimes your brother likes to be the oldest and take control of things? Does this make sense to you?
Yeah, they were his family, not mine.
Oh, okay. Because I just want to acknowledge this. But he's just going, okay, he was talking about your brother. Bear with me for a second. He's telling me that you did the best you could with everything around your dad. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Thank you. And he likes how you put your foot down with your brother as well. So
Yeah.
can I leave that with you? Thank you. He's also showing me, and I don't know if you guys actually had a farm or some acreage, but is there a reference where there was an old hay cart or something that would be around? Because I'm seeing like the cart wheel that would be on a cart, but I'm also seeing it looking like a hay cart. Does this make sense?
When I was a child, they had a farm, yes.
Thank you, because he's just acknowledging the memory of you jumping on the back of this cart. So I'll just acknowledge that for you. But he's also showing me a watch as well, and he's also laughing. Have you either misplaced or the watch is no longer around you at the moment? Because he's acknowledging how you were going to look for it to get it fixed for someone, but you couldn't find it or something. Does that make sense?
I think it probably would have been him that watched time before he passed.
Okay, cool. Because he's just talking about the watch and being misplaced and then trying to find it to get it fixed.
Yeah, we never got time to be able to get things fixed before he passed.
Thank you. Okay. See what I mean? I'm the interpreter, so I might misinterpret occasionally. But he just wants to give you a massive hug and a massive pat on the back, and he just wants to say he's with the family, and he's also acknowledging a birthday that's happened 3 or 4 days ago. Does this make sense?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so can I leave that with you, Christine? I've run out of time, but thank you, and thank you for allowing me to connect with your dad. He's absolutely gorgeous, and I don't know if it's Greg or Gregory, but I need to acknowledge that name as well, or the GR name. And if you want to connect with me, come over to my Facebook page, Geordie Jade Psychic Medium. Christine, thank you so much for allowing me to chat to you today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye. And see you, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great evening. And I will see you next week. And blessings and hugs. Talk to you then. Bye.
Psychic Radio, Earth's #1 psychic radio network, and watching Moonstruck TV, enlightening television. Welcome.
And now, Reverend Elliot's Magical Window with Reverend Elliot. Live from magic-works.com.
Connect direct. In North America, dial 888-454-2751. In London, 20-3519-2158. In Sydney, dial 02-8488-3147. Or online, contact us through our Facebook page, facebook.com/psychic radio.
Or one of our websites,
askoneradio.com or moonstruck.tv.
This is Reverend Elliot's Magical Window
on A1R, the Ask One Radio Network.
Greetings, fellow seekers of truth, wisdom, and light. Around the corner, down the block, down the street, across the state, into the universe, everywhere. Who knows how far this reaches? This is Reverend Elliot coming to you live from the city of New York, where we get together every Wednesday at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, 9 Mountain, and 8 Pacific time. And I neglect to say that I'm referring to time. I hope people understand that. Since doing this show, that's how I tell time. Somebody stops me on the street and say, "Do you have the time?" I say, "Yes, it's 10 in the morning. It's 10 Eastern, 9 Mountain, 3 Central, 2 o'clock. You know, who knows? 14 out, 120 on Jupiter." It gets to be a mess. But as I said, we get together every Wednesday at 11 Eastern Time, 10 Central, 9 Mountain, and 8 Pacific to look through the magical window of the tarot. And we do other stuff, too. We do a little mediumship now and then, but I only do that through the tarot cards. I don't make direct contact with any dead people because I'm not big on that, and I'll tell you why. I mean, I know it happens, and I know it's real. I've seen enough about that to know that it can happen, that it's real. However, I also know that you meet people on vacation and you have a great time and you swear you'll get together and you never hear from those people ever again, you know. And how much more difficult is it to hear from people when they go to another plane of existence? I met a guy when I was away at summer camp and I was a kid, and we had a blast, and it turned out that he lived literally right on the same block that I did here in New York, right around the corner from me. And I never saw him again after camp. It was that can give a guy a complex. And, you know, here I am, 95 years later still talking about it. Well, I'm not really that old, but I do feel that way sometimes. You ever feel that old? Well, that's how old I feel right now. But I've been filling out forms all day for little things like reduced fares on subways and things like that. And you get to feel creaky. So that's what I like about doing this show. I get to feel alive and what's the word I'm looking for? Important? No. Helpful. There you go. Helpful, because we're going to have people from all over the world calling in with certain problems that they want looked at, and they are going to get answers from my trusty deck of tarot cards. I use the Aquarian Tarot on this show tonight. Mostly I use the Aquarian Tarot. I like it an awful lot. It's a beautiful deck. Take a look at it sometime. I believe it's still in print. U.S. Games must still make it. They are a wonderful company that just prints so many marvelous tarot decks. And it's based on the classic Rider-Waite tarot deck, but I think the drawings are much nicer and are not as harsh colored, and I think they're very nice. They have the basic symbolism there, and they get everything. They get all the messages across, and that's what we're going to be looking at. And I call it a magical window because the tarot cards allow us to see what we can't see with our senses. Our senses can be very limiting. They're not really made to see much, our senses. We're not as limited. I bring this up from time to time. We're not as limited as a frog, for instance. A frog can only see under 2 conditions. They found the frog can only see about maybe 8 inches in front of it. Anything beyond that, it doesn't exist. It might as well be in outer space. And it can only see if the thing is moving. If it's not moving, a frog can't see it. So really all the frog can see is dinner. It'll just zap out that tongue. If there's something floating around and it's within 6 inches, it'll zap it with that tongue. I had a pet frog when I was little. I brought it home from summer camp. Why am I fixated on summer camp today? Is it because it's September, you think? Is it because the summer is over and it's all gone? But I brought a frog home, and We had it for years. It was a marvelous little guy, and I used to feed it flies and mealworms. You could actually buy mealworms in a pet shop in those days. The the thing was that I never saw it shoot its tongue out. It would just go. I would put a mealworm or a fly in there, and it would just go over there and eat it. So, I guess it was a contented frog. I wonder now. I'm trying to remember back. Yeah, I never. It was in an aquarium that I set up. It was more like a terrarium by the time I got done with it, but it never did shoot its tongue out, and it only ate these things if it was near it. So yeah, that's how frogs work. Now we, on the other hand, we have an analytical brain, and sometimes that gets in the way. And I'm talking about like really, bizarre things. People come up, all you have to do is like look at the comment section in any major metropolitan newspaper. And I'm just thinking of Clark Kent every time I hear metropolitan newspaper. But you just look at the comment sections and you'll see all manner. I mean, I wouldn't even honor these things by calling them conspiracy theories. These are just, let's just say it's a tribute to the creativity of the human mind. And people come up with all kinds of things. I see there are still, I'm happy to see though that in the year 2020 there are still people who think that the most profound insult they can hurl at another American is he's a communist. I think that's marvelous. I just love that. That's so nostalgic and quaint. That what can you do? I mean, there's nothing. To me, it's like shaving with a straight razor, which I do, and I'll admit it. I enjoy it. I'm writing a book right now on how to shave with a straight razor without cutting yourself to pieces. So, I'll let you know when that's around, or maybe I won't. I don't know, because it's not a magical book. It's I talk about my magical books a lot, but I don't talk about those kind of books. Magical books you'll find at mojoacademy.org. Check that out, mojoacademy.org. And the book of the month now, because it's September, is How I Discovered My Mediumship. And folks, I have no idea. We're talking about, life after death and communicating. That book has become one of our best sellers. The best seller we had used to be Hunches, which I still think is one of the most astounding books I've ever read. Wish I'd written it, in fact. But it's the book Hunches is the one that will tell you about all the various kinds of psychic abilities and how you can recognize them in yourself and then find out what your strong point is and develop it. That's pretty cool. That's nice to know. That's what Hunches does. And Hunches also has a dream book in it, which will tell you what your dreams mean. That's a bonus there in Hunches. But that used to be the steadiest seller we have. And now, for some reason, in the last few months, the book that I just sent some out today. The book that we send out the most is How I Discovered My Mediumship. And it's a marvelous story, turn of the century, 20th century, written by Mrs. Cecil Adams at a time when women were identified by their husband's name. And she was quite a famous medium in her day, but she had an awful, awful, awful childhood dealing with these voices and nobody believing her. And what do you do, And well, I even had an experience like that as a child. I remember vividly. I was in nursery school, so I couldn't have been not even 4 years old. And I remember going out into the playground behind the nursery school and hearing my mother call my voice, and I turned around and I went back in and I couldn't find her. She wasn't there. And I don't know, it kept me from going into the playground. Now, why was that? What would have happened to me if I'd gone into that playground? Would I have had some kind of an accident? It's quite possible. But I did get home, and I told my mother, I heard you calling me. And she said she didn't call me. She was home all day. And, that's what mothers did in those days. They were home all day. And she said, oh, it was your imagination. And I thought, wow, I have an imagination. I have an imagination. What's an imagination? And little did I know that I would become a professional liar for years, which is what I would call myself when I was a screenwriter and a playwright, because it was my job to make things up and write them and get people to believe that they were real. That's what movie writers do. And that was a blast. Those were probably the happiest years of my life. Then I went into journalism, where, despite the common opinion, I wasn't a liar. Journalists are not held in such high repute these days, but I was an honest journalist, and as far as I know, I still am. I have never committed a lie to paper, and I have never exposed anything as a journalist that I didn't prove. And oddly enough, I never used occult means to do that. You see, I used news is mundane in the strictest sense of the word, so I use mundane methods, and that's something important. I don't believe in constantly using tarot cards or occult methods to get what you want. Sometimes you can get what you want by just going out and getting what you want. Other times, you might want to give it a little push by using a little magic. Sometimes you might want to do the whole shebang by magic. Who knows? You see, this is why I tell people, a lot of readers will make a pretty good living with steady customers. And they'll read for somebody week after week after week after week. I can't do that. I simply can't. Because after a while, then you start to substitute my judgment and my card's judgment for your own. And this is important. I think you should only get tarot readings when something special happens in your life, something important comes up, something you need some insight into, something you want explained, and maybe like, the beginning of the year or on your birthday to see what the year is going to be like. That's fun. I enjoy doing that with people. But no, you're not going to find me reading for you week after week after week, even if you want that. And if you wanted that, I would discourage you from doing it because it becomes a crutch. And that, you don't want to substitute that. Now, that said, I have nothing but the highest respect for tarot cards and what they can show us. And you'll hear examples of that tonight. You will hear examples of the cards telling me things that people who called didn't tell me about. And the cards are right on the money. That's just the way it goes. I no longer, I am shocked by some of the things still that the tarot cards can do, but I don't take them for granted, but I'm not shocked for long. I mean, I remember, way back in the beginning when I was a baby tarot reader, I was reading cards for a woman who wanted me to look at her romantic life. And I said, "You were married before for 9 years, weren't you?" And she looked at me, blanched, Well, her name was Blanche, right? No, that's a cheap joke. Sorry. "Where's my rim shot? Where is it?" Yeah, she blanched. But yes, but she had been married for 9 years. And I saw that in the cards. And it was a horrible marriage. I saw that too. So there you go. That's what we're going to look at. But you don't want to do that stuff weekly. You certainly don't want to do it daily. Do it when there's a need for it. It's like going to the doctor. It's you don't want to go physician shopping. You don't want to go tarot reader shopping. And magic, it has its place. And I'll tell you, my whole philosophy on using magic and when to do it, you'll find it in my book. I was talking about hunches and how I discovered my mediumship. I might as well talk about a book I wrote called Reverend Elliot Explains It All. Now, there's a nice title. And I explain quite a bit, but I doubt that I explain it all. But there's a joke in that title, which some people will get and others won't. But I'll be happy to explain it to you sometime. I might even explain it in the book. For all I don't really remember. I wrote it a couple of years ago. It's the expanded version of the magical essays that I first wrote, my first published book. But check out Reverend Elliot Explains It All, and you can see how magical work can enhance your life, and you can find loads of stuff about that at magic-works.com, magic-works.com. That is my website with over 90 pages of information about magic. Now, let's get to the phone calls and the readings. I'm going to do what I neglected to do last week, and I'll do it this week, which is to delineate sacred space. We're about to enter sacred space in which we will get together, you and I, and do the readings. I commemorate the sacred space by ringing a bell 3 times. And now we'll pull back the curtain on the magical window and do our first reading for Chelsea in Birmingham, Alabama. Hi, Chelsea. You're on with Reverend Elliot.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you tonight?
I'm good.
Well, let's see what we can do to make that a little better, okay? What can I look at for you?
Okay. Well, I thought I was doing a mediumship call.
Well, I could see if anything in the cards turns up. I spoke about that earlier. I said that I do medium work by looking at the cards. You know, somebody can send you a message just as easily that way. Would you like to do that?
Okay. That'll work.
Okay, anyone in particular you're looking at, or you just want me to see what I find?
My husband, he passed in May of this
Oh, I'm
year.
very sorry to hear that. That's such a short time ago. Let me see. You know, it must be very fresh still in your mind. Let's see. I'm going to shuffle the cards a few times. And let's see what we get. Because I'm going to take a... there are certain cards that I look for to see if I'm getting a message that has any hint of past life, of someone who's passed.
Okay.
And I do have one of those. I do have one of those cards here. It's the first card I got here. I've got 3 cards here that are very important in this. Two of the cards I look for when I want to make sure I'm on the right track to contact somebody are here. One is the Judgment card, and that is about the Last Judgment. That literally shows a graveyard on it in most decks and people rising up. The next card I have is the Death card, and I'm taking that as an indication that we are dealing with someone who's passed. The card after that is most fascinating because it's the Sun, and that is a card of health and growth and healing, and that's followed by the Ace of Cups, which also has a Sun on it, which is about the beginning of emotional well-being and happiness. So
Okay.
now this is the important card. This comes up often in these kind of readings. It's the Ten of Swords. That's a card that's mistaken by a lot of people to mean death. It shows a person lying down, face down, with 10 swords in his back, but it doesn't mean death. It means that the worst is over. So what I'm looking at is a person who was suffering greatly near the end, but now sees where they are now, that the worst is over. And the Sun and the Ace of Cups show me that there's healing and health and growth that's occurring spiritually. And the Justice card is here, and that is about attaining the justice that you deserve. There are cards here of great sadness. I'm seeing happiness and sadness. I'm seeing a person who doesn't particularly is not happy about having left. I have the Five of Cups and the Nine of Swords. These are about regrets and sadness. But overall, what I'm seeing is a person who has had a very rough time at the end. Did he have a rough time at the end?
Well, kind of, sort of.
Okay, you don't have to give me too many. You don't have to give me too many details if you don't want to. The thing that I'm seeing, though, is that this is a spirit that I'm looking at who is now undergoing a purification, who's undergoing emotional growth and healing and justice.
Okay.
But it's still tinged with sadness, and I'm going to interpret that as being sadness about the people he's left behind.
Okay.
But if I can see a message in this, the message is this person is growing and is spiritually evolving right now. Okay?
Okay.
Because it's odd, because I'm getting cards of happiness and sadness combined here. So, this is a person who is seeking balance in life and did seek balance in life and didn't quite find it, but now knows that the worst is over and as a spiritual entity is growing again. And that's good. And I have a feeling that you'll be hearing from this person.
Okay. I have
one more card that I got, and this is probably the most important of them all. It's the Temperance card, and that means balance restored. Like I said, I got a sense that this was something that was a life out of balance, but the balance is being restored now. So while there's sadness at leaving people behind, and knowing that there's sadness in his wake, as people miss him, the message I'm getting is still one of I'm doing better now. I'm doing better than I thought I would. And there's healing and growth.
Okay.
Okay? I hope that helps.
That does. It really does help a whole lot.
Thank you very much for calling, and I'm going to light a candle for both of you tonight, okay?
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye now, Chelsea.
Bye-bye.
What a fascinating reading that was. The clinging. There are a lot of people who think that restless spirits are ones who cling to this existence, and the whole point of the next existence is to experience it, and a lot of spirits don't. That's where we get ghosts, you know. And we're getting to that time of the year. We're sliding into the autumn, and of course that culminates in Halloween. And the veil between this world and the next gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And like I said, I've been getting so many requests for that book, How I Discovered My Mediumship, that there seems to be something in the air right now that's leading people to want to ask questions about that kind of thing. And I'm always, regular listeners will know that I'm a bit hesitant to do these kind of readings because sometimes they can be awfully personal. But there are, like I said, several cards that I look for to lead me in the right direction. The Judgment card, the Death card, the High Priestess card, because that's a person who sees behind the veil. Things like that. If I don't see those cards, I won't continue with the reading. And the regular listeners will know that that's never happened here. That every time somebody has asked me to do a reading of this sort, I got at least one of those cards, and I got two of them this time. I take that kind of reading very seriously because in the deepest sense, I'm just a messenger carrying somebody else's message. And the message in that call was, I know you're sad. I know there are people sad. And I don't want to go into any more detail of the things that I saw that I was hesitant to bring up about the nature of this person's passing and how difficult it was. But Chelsea understood that and didn't. I could sense she was reluctant too about wanting to get into that publicly. So now that's another thing. If you want to contact me off the air, that's fine. My email, I'm going to give it to everyone now. Get ready to write it down, and then I'll say it again later at the end of the show. Ask Tarot, AskTarot @earthlink.net, and we can do a free consultation reading. And then if you want to do a full reading with me of any length, from $10 on up, I got readings that start at $10, and I've knocked the price down. Hey, there you go. I've knocked the price down on my readings. Because you'll see it at my website if you go to magic-works.com, magick-works.com. I'm having a special quote, "That damn virus didn't kill me," unquote, sale. Oh yeah. Regular listeners will know that I wasn't around much in April, May, and June because I was doing this thing called dying. But I retrieved myself from the brink. And that I did use esoteric means for. I may write about that sometime. I used Reiki. I used every tool that I could to deal with that. And here, I'm an old man, and I have what they call a comorbidity. Geez, that sounds terrible. But I'm still here. And the way to celebrate is to knock down the price on readings because life is more important than money. Casey in Marion, Ohio is next. Hi, Casey. You're on with Reverend Elliot.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Casey. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Well, let's see what we can do to make that better if you'd like. Oh, I'm fine. I'm doing well. I had a wonderful day doing a lot of cooking. I did a lot of cooking. Some regular people, regular listeners will know. I've been taking care of my wife a little bit because she's incapacitated. She has a massive cast on one leg and she has to rest. And I've been running the household here, and one of the things I've been doing is cooking my little heart out. And I made her like a gallon of chili today. She loves my chili, so at least she says so. So I did that.
All right. Well, that's great. You got somebody to do that for her.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that nice? And I enjoy cooking. My father once, when I was a little boy, my father said, women don't belong in the kitchen. That's man's work." You know, it was very funny to think about. You know,
That's a new one, yeah.
and I took him seriously, you know, and I used to invite women over for dinner, and I'd cook dinner, and in my single days, of course. If I did it now, I'd have a big cast coming down on my head, But so, but yeah, I love cooking. I love it. I have a page on kitchen alchemy at my website, which shows how to do things not quite magical but mostly alchemical, like making yogurt. I make yogurt several times a week, but we go through a lot of yogurt here. Anyway, so Casey, let's get to you. The show's not about me; it's about you. So, what can I look at for you?
I don't know. I'm struggling with a lot of things right now. I've been single for a long time. I'm a single mama too. I don't know. And then I lost my grandma a while back, and she was like my second mom. So
yeah,
I don't know if you could tell me anything about either of those.
Sure, I will be very happy to.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see what the cards show. This is fascinating because this has happened to me several times, and it's always I don't really know how to explain this because it's weird. I mean, first of all, I mentioned earlier that there are several cards I look for when people ask me to contact somebody to see if I'm getting a message from the other side. And I have one of those cards here. It's the High Priestess. That's a person who sees behind the veil. And the veil is what we're talking about, the veil that separates this world from the next one. Now, I have two of the happiest cards you can imagine here, and that's the crux of it. That's just, that's why it gets a little weird to do this when people are grieving and people are sad, and I understand that, and yet I get cards of joy, and I have some that really apply here. Like I've got the 10 of Cups. That's perfected happiness. I have the 4 of Rods. That's a happy home. I have the 10 of Coins. Now, this is the important one because the 10 of Coins is not just about a happy home. It's about a family. It's about a lineage, and it is about children and grandchildren and grandparents and great-grandparents, and it's about being at one with the ancestors. So you see what I'm getting at? I'm seeing a person who is quite satisfied and quite happy.
Okay.
Now, you and I know that it hurts us. But what I'm seeing is a person who has found her place with her ancestors and her people. And I don't doubt for a moment that there are stories about the heavenly stories of Summerland and joy and peace. And I'm telling you, that's what I'm seeing here. I always dread the day that I'm going to get somebody's going to ask me about a real SOB who passed away, and I'm going to get cards of hellfire, But this is precisely the opposite. These are cards of joy. These are cards of happiness. These are cards of well-being. These are cards of being with the ancestors, and it's almost like a homecoming.
Well, that's great. It was my grandma and then my great grandma. They were really close, and my great grandma had passed first. She passed, a few years before my grandma did, and she took care of her a lot. And then my grandma had passed, and then also her daughter. So her daughter had passed a few years even before that. So hopefully, that's right. That goes right into that 10 of Coins, which I was saying, which is I mentioned great grandparents and all that, which you don't run into many great grandparents these days, and yet there it is. It's about the family lineage, parents, grandparents, great grandparents, grandchildren, great grandchildren, children not yet born. This is. And then, by the way, while you were talking, I pulled one more card, which I got the Death card, which again, the Death card and the High Priestess are two of the main cards I look for to verify
that what I'm getting is an authentic message. And this is a message that is saying, I'm doing fine. I'm where I belong now.
Okay.
I'm not seeing anything like of a I want to tell you something nature, other than that. To me, the big message is, look, I got the judgment cards. Now, that's 3 of the 4 cards I look for when doing a reading like this. I've got them here. That's amazing to me. I'm saying that this is a genuine communication, and the communication is be happy. That's the 10 of Cups. The 4 of Rods, we had a happy home together. We were all happy together as a family. And the 10 of Coins, I'm with the rest of the family. Kind of stuff that's encouraging, because I don't know what the hell comes next, I don't know what comes afterwards, but this is certainly encouraging,
Right,
and it's nice.
Sure.
It's very nice. She must have been a wonderful person. So that's the message. The message is, I'm doing fine. I'm with my people. Okay? Is Casey still there? Did we lose Casey? Well, Casey, if you're listening, it's something that's the happiest afterlife reading I've ever gotten. So, congratulations. And, I can't say don't feel bad. Obviously, you're going to feel bad. We do feel bad. This is something that separates us from most other animals. They say elephants mourn, but we carry good and bad memories, and the hope is that over time the good memories take over. And it's very difficult, and we've all experienced it. And if we haven't, we're going to. So these kind of messages are important. It's just worth knowing. If you feel really bad, just remember that, I just shuffle them up and there's the death card again. It's telling me I'm on the right topic here. But in this case, grandma and great-grandma and all those people, they are together. They are the family is together where they belong, the ancestors. It's a pretty cool reading. Gina, out on Long Island, is next. Hi, you're on with
Hi, how
Reverend
are you?
Elliot. I'm doing well. How are you tonight, Gina?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Beautiful. What can I look at for you?
Well, actually, my friend, he just passed away.
Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but I was more into my grandparents.
So are you looking for a message from your grandparents?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to shuffle up the cards now that I know that and put that intention in there as I shuffle. And I will interpret the cards that I get as a message from your grandparents. How's that? Fair enough?
Okay.
Okay, now let's see what we get. This is fantastic. This is simply like these 2 cards. This first card is one I had just a moment ago for somebody asking for a similar reading, and it's the 10 of Cups. Strangely enough, it's a card of great happiness.
Aww.
Now, that's followed by the 6 of Swords, which is about a person traveling and going from where they are to where they need to be or want to be. And, I'm going to read that as the passing, as the person passing over. There is sorrow here. There's sadness here. Now, you have to remember, the first card here was perfected happiness. So I'm not seeing that your grandparents the spirits are sad, but they
Right.
understand. I've got the 5 of Cups and the 8 of Cups are about loss. And what I see is that they understand that it's causing pain. But the message I'm getting, the initial card is that message, which is great happiness, perfected happiness, the 10 of Cups. So
Yes. Yeah.
the mess. Now here's something that I would conceivably call a message. The message of the 5 of Cups is simple. there are 3 spilled cups, and the person in the card is looking at those 3 cups, and that's mourning, as in grief, and is sad. But the person doesn't yet notice that behind her are 2 cups that are full. Now, that is not to say, stop that and look at the good stuff. That's saying that right now you're concerned with the sad part of this, with the loss. But the message is that eventually, when you're ready, you'll turn around and you'll see the other 2 cups, and you'll see that what you got outweighs what you lost. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Now, see, some people say that means stop grieving now. You can't tell a person that. There's no way. You can't say to a person, it's like saying to a severely depressed person, snap out of it. And the card isn't saying that. And the 8 of Cups confirms it. The 8 of Cups is about a person who walks away from something that isn't working to something that's better. But you only do that when you're ready. And when you're ready, if you're feeling grief now, and the grief never fully leaves us, let's face it. When people that close to us die, it leaves a hole, and it always will be there. But it gets a little less painful with time because we remember the good things.
Exactly.
One of the dearest people I ever knew just died in May also, and it was a shock. It was a tremendous shock, and it still hurts me. But bit by bit, I start remembering the wonderful times that we had together, and I remember much of that, and that's just the road of life. But the 2 messages I have here are: 1, we're happy; 2, we've gone to another plane of existence. That's the 6 of Swords. We've moved from here to there. And the 5 of Cups and the 8 of Cups, which deal with emotions and deal with feelings, tell me that when the time comes, the grief will fade. I, for one, never think it goes away totally, but it fades, and it's not as bad, but the beginning time, it's hard, and there is no timetable for that. I want to get that very clear to everybody listening. There is no timetable. It makes my skin crawl when people say, well, you've been grieving too long. How do you know what too long is for that particular person? Yes. But you have 2 personalities here, the person who died and the person who's in mourning, and you don't know what was there between them, really. And so what is the timetable? Now, if it goes on for years and years and it inhibits your ability to live, you might want to get some help. But no, you don't say, well, look, it's been 2 months, knock it off. No, that's insulting, that's condescending, that's demeaning, and don't let people do that. Okay, I can tell people have come at you with that kind of an attitude, haven't they?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say. I can't really say on the air what I want to say. You could tell them. But, This is so. It's so intensely personal, and it's so human. They've uncovered the remains of Neanderthal men, which were buried with flowers. Buried a certain number of feet under the ground with flowers. This has been known since the late 60s. So grieving rituals for the dead are as old as humanity. They're in our DNA. They're hardwired into us, and you can't turn it off at your convenience. And it can hit you sometimes, and you don't remember. You could be walking down the street one day and come to a place, and it'll remind you of the person. You could see somebody who looks like the person. Anything can trigger it. The trick is knowing that it's normal and that it eventually fades, and it doesn't hurt as much, and you remember the good times. And that's one of the things that the 10 of Cups is saying. That's the message. Great happiness. And we understand that it hurts you right now, but it won't hurt for long. That's the message I see in my cards here. I hope that helps.
Thank you. It does. Thank you very much.
And I am going to light a candle later on. I'll light a couple of them for you and for the people you've lost recently. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you for calling.
The one was a shock.
Yeah, they
Thank
come
you
that
very
way.
much. Yeah. Yeah.
Bye-bye now.
Yeah.
Call again sometime. Bye-bye. And let's shuffle them up. You know, it's there are many things that separate us from the quote animals, and a lot of it is in our mind and the way the mind works, and the mind grieves, and the mind feels loss, and there are animals that do that too. You know, I mean, there are animals that will pine away for a mate that's gone. Even the ratsy pigeons, and I usually don't disparage pigeons, and I'll tell you why. I mean, even they mate for life. You know, go to my website magic-works.com, and I'm going to put a link to this at my Facebook page. You can check the Facebook page. There is a thing there that you might want to look at, and it features a clip from the show, and let's see, it's called A Miracle with a question mark. That's the web page. I don't mean to be cryptic, but it says A Miracle with a question mark. And click on that, and that's how, now don't laugh at this, please, okay? That's how a pigeon saved my life. Yes, a pigeon, what Woody Allen called flying rats here in New York, a pigeon saved my life. How'd that happen? I can't explain it. Listen to me describe it at magic-works.com, magick-works.com. Go to that thing after the show. Never abandon the show. We'll be done in a few minutes. After the show, go to my website and click on A Miracle, question mark, a miracle. Because I sure think it was. Or was it somebody sending a message? I mean, a pigeon? I couldn't have been more surprised if a rat had done this, or a spider, But it was a pigeon. So I take this stuff very seriously, folks. I try to. Now I've got a lighthearted approach to this because I can't believe in not having a lighthearted approach. There's very few things in life that I won't take a lighthearted approach to, and I think that's what gets us by. Enough of what I think. Let's get to what's going on with you. Carrie Ann in Baton Rouge, Louisiana is next. Hi, Carrie Ann. You're on with Reverend Elliot.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are things in Baton Rouge?
Oh, it's just wonderfully, just very heated, very like 95, 100 degrees every day. So a little humid. With the humidity, it's bad.
We had here in New York City one of the mildest summers I've ever experienced in this town. The temperature would be, it would hit like 96 degrees at some points in the day, but at night it always went to about 72. And we left the windows open and the whole place would cool off. It would be fine. We have not used the air conditioning once this year, oddly enough. So who knows? People think that people think tarot cards and the occult are hard to explain. The weather's impossible to explain. Who knows? I just sent a package to Baton Rouge. Last month I sent a package to Baton Rouge. There's a rather famous chef there ordered something from me, which was, I won't tell any tales out of school, but I have a reproduction that I sell of a thing called the vending machine tarot, which was so cool. I wanted one of these in the early 1970s, the late 60s. There was a little deck of tarot cards sold in a gumball machine outside of head shops. And if you're old enough to remember head shops, you know what I'm talking about. And I never did get one of those. I was a little nervous about tarot cards, but I now reproduce those, and I sell them in a gumball machine canister, just like it was. And he bought a set. Which is cool because this set of cards has the meanings of the cards on the back in English and French. So I thought that Baton Rouge was perfect for that.
I agree.
So, Carrie Ann, what can I look at for you tonight?
Well, my question is, I would like to know what spirits have to say about my current job situation or current job. I just wonder if I could get some sort of guidance from them about my current job situation.
Okay, let me see what we get.
Okay.
I'll shuffle the cards. We should be getting cards with rods in them. Rods are career and work, and or coins, which of course are money. Well, bingo. We've got 2 cards here that right at the start that are rods. So there's now 3 of rods. Okay, you know what that is? That's the tarot cards being wise with me. They're being smart ass on me here. That's yeah, I said we should get rods, and then bang, 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 bang. But I'm going to interpret them anyway. The 2 of rods is here, and that's a card about waiting for something to happen. Is there something you're expecting to happen at the job that like a promotion, let's say, or a raise or something that hasn't been happening?
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
that's a card of waiting. I can't believe this. I have another one here. I've got 4 cards here. They're all rods. I mean,
amazing.
Yeah, well, sometimes there are some people who believe, and I've written about this in my book about tarot, which is same name as the show, Reverend Elliot's Magical Window, that there are people who believe that tarot cards are alive. And when they do things like this to me, I have my one, I wonder, because it's almost like I was saying, well, let's see if it delivers rods to us, and all 4 are rods. Here's what we got here. Let's see what we can get a little storyline out of this. The 9 of rods. That's a person who is prepared for what's coming. There won't be any surprises that you're coming at work that you're not prepared for. It's a person. A lot of decks show the person who's with a bandage around her head. Meaning, of course, that you've been through the mill. You've had your lumps. You've learned from the school of hard knocks, so you can handle what's coming. As the King of Rods also implies, is that you can control some of the situation. Where it's not so clear is the 2 of Rods, which means that, as I said, you're waiting for a development. You're waiting for something to happen, which hasn't happened. The next 2 cards, which are also rods, I might add, and I've now up to 5 cards with all rods here. So definitely work is. You see, if they all came out like cups, I would say, I think, is there a romantic problem that you're not telling me about? But no, you see, this is really responding to you. The Page of Rods and the Ace of Cups have very similar meanings, and you're thinking of getting a new job, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
That's what these cards are about. The Ace of Rods is about the aces are beginnings, obviously, and rods are about career. And the Ace of Rods is about the potential for a new job coming. It's just a possibility. The Page of Rods is a new job appearing, tangible, real. You may even get an offer from somebody to come work for them. Now, I have 3 more cards, and 2 of them are rods. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards that I've picked out of 8 cards for you are rods. So this is definitely about work. And I'm seeing a new job coming your way. Now, here's a card that you may want this. It's not about dying. It's the death card, and the death card always means when in a regular reading, not in like an afterlife reading. It always means the end of one phase of our life and the beginning of another. Because there's a sunrise on that set of cards. So it's about even if it's a sunset, as some people say, it just means that the day is ending and that implies, the sunset implies a sunrise. And it's very important in that card, because that card has been misrepresented by cheap movie sensationalism, and it's not about the person who gets the card dying. It means that a new phase of your life is about to begin. So you're going to be getting a new job offer, and it's going to be like opening up a new world for you. It's going to be a rather competitive situation. The 7 of Rods there, now this is going to harken back to that first card I told you, the 9 of Rods, where you're prepared. The Seven of Rods is a person who can sweep away any obstacles that get in her way. And the next card is the Four of Rods, which is happiness in the home, a very happy home. So I'm seeing this. You're prepared for what's coming. You can master the work that you need to do. Something isn't happening the way it should. You're waiting for this to happen. You deserve it. You're expecting it. And it may yet come, but it doesn't look likely because I'm seeing that there will be another job for you and there will be another job offer. It will be life-changing. There will be some hitches. There will be some problems with it, but nothing you can't handle easily. Maybe that's why you're being given the job. Maybe they need you to handle some problems there. But whatever this is, the picture on the Seven of Rods is about a person who has 6 people with rods coming at her, and this person is above them on higher ground, which is defensive and beautiful, and holding one rod horizontally, so all you have to do is swing it, and they're all gone. You see, that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
You can get rid of any obstacles. So look for, this is not saying take the job or not take the job. It's saying just the act of being offered the job could be the life-changing thing, because then you can go back to the other people and say, look, I got this offer, you know. If you wanted to explore that deeper, you know, think about it when the job comes, the offer comes. I'm seeing a definite job offer coming your way and coming soon, because I got the ace and the page here. That means it's there. It's happening now. You know, the ace is the potential, but the page is the manifestation. And you got both of them here. So when it comes, it's going to come fast. Consider it, and it's going to lead to happiness. It's going to change your life, though, for the better.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
when I say to people, your life is going to change, they say, great. Oh, wait a minute, better or worse? But no, for the better, I can see.
And that's usually the way you think of it. But
yeah.
well, that is
Well, like
amazing. How
Shakespeare said,
how many cards with rods? That's just like highly unlikely. Usually.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. 7 of them are rods. One of them is a major card.
My goodness.
All 7 of the minor cards that I picked for you are rods.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
just the odds are against that, you know. So that's why I understand when people say that these things are alive, because the odds are against that happening. But I think that, I mean, the cards showed me that there's something that you're waiting for that should have happened, but it hasn't happened. The cards also showed me that you've been thinking about getting a new job, and I'm seeing that there's a definite possibility of you being offered one, and that I'm telling you not to run away from that. But I can't tell you in such a brief reading, and the show is just about over. I can't give you my advice on whether you should or shouldn't take it, because either the job is going to be life-changing, or what you do with the other people and tell them, look, these guys want to hire me. What are you going to say? You know, so it's possible that you can play it to your own advantage. Okay?
It sounds like it might be a win-win situation for me.
Yes, especially a person like you,
fantastic.
because I see that you're the kind of person who can handle things that get thrown your way. That was that first card, the 9 of Rods. You're a very prepared person, and you're experienced. So, I mean, this is like the old, like they say, this isn't going to be your first time at the rodeo. So, you know, you'll be fine. I got to go. I've got a minute left, so I got to get out of here. But if you listen to this show in the archives and listen to this reading, it's an astounding reading, actually, and I think it is right in keeping with what's on your mind right now and what you want to do. So that's the power of the tarot card. I've got to leave it at that for tonight.
Thank you so much. All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night. And hey, that's it, folks. We got like 30 seconds. So I'll remind you, if you want to get in touch with me, my email is asktarot@earthlink.net. Make that one word, ASKTAROT, asktarot@earthlink.net. And we can do a free consultation if you want to. If you're thinking about using magical work in your life, or getting a tarot reading, we can do that. Get over to magic-works.com, magick-works.com. On the homepage, you'll see my reading rates, and you can knock 10% off those. But now I've got to go. So remember, time flies. It's up to you to be the navigator. Manager's good too. Bye bye now.